Opera started in Italy a little before 1600, developed in the 1600s with such composers as Monteverdi and Cavalli, and grew in popularity through the 1700s, spreading through Europe. The early 1800s produced the age of bel canto, with such masters as Rossini, Donizetti, and Bellini. The rest of the 19th century was dominated by Giuseppe Verdi, whose long career ran from his early pot boilers through the great middle period of La Traviata, Rigoletto, Il Trovatore, and Aida, to two culminating masterpieces, Otello and Falstaff. But as the 1800s drew to a close, there was a feeling that Italian opera was in a rut, that the real initiative had somehow crossed the Alps. The mighty music dramas of Richard Wagner were the new music now. There is no room to properly define what an immense impact Wagner had on Western music, but in a few words, Wagner aimed to revive the concept of a complete work, a Gesamtkunstwerk, a piece of art that combined all the elements of Greek drama, words, action, music, chorus, in a seamless whole. This was an operatic world in which the old notions of aria, recitative, and set numbers played no part. The extensive and highly sophisticated use of themes, what Wagner called Leitmotifs, leading motifs, shaped and bound together such epic works as The Ring of the Nibelung, a cycle of 4 operas. The use of the orchestra, not merely to offer chum-chum accompaniment, but as a real protagonist in the drama, was a new and exciting element. In fact, it can be reasonably argued that from Tristan and Isolde onwards, the orchestra became for Wagner not a, but the protagonist in his dramas. In the late 19th century, an operatic movement known as verismo, true to life, began, encompassing operas that dealt frankly with the harsh realities of life. Bizet's Carmen of 1875 is a notable example from France. So what had Italian opera to offer in response to either Wagner or the raw energy of Carmen? The answer, briefly, was the Giovane Scuola, the young school, in which a new generation of composers attempted to forge a distinctive Italian style from the influences north of the Alps. This led to brief but intensely effective melodramas, such as Mascagni's Cavalleria Rusticana, with its brilliant evocation of the passion and heat of a Sicilian village. This, in turn, led to Leoncavallo's Pagliacci, in which the influence of Wagner is felt in the seamless continuity of the music, in the use of motifs to represent emotions and people, and in the opulence of the vocal and orchestral writing. But the Verismo movement they represented was a false dawn. The revival of Italian operatic vitality, which it promised, never really happened. It was also another sort of false dawn for the two young composers Mascagni and Leoncavallo, neither of whom were ever again to repeat their youthful successes. It so often seems in human affairs that a movement, an empire, a nation will demonstrate one last burst of creative splendour before imploding and collapsing. Take the grandeur of Rome in the late Empire, the wealth and splendour of the British Empire in the Edwardian age, or the extravagance of France on the eve of the French Revolution.